been driving trucks for close to 15 years now, and I've seen a lot of strange things on the road, weird accidents, eerie stretches of highway in the dead of night, and some oddball folks at truck stops. But nothing ever quite shook me like what happened back in the winter of 2018. This one still chills me to the bone whenever I think about it, and that's not something I say lightly. It started like any other haul, but the way it ended, that's a whole different story. I was driving a rig from Kansas to Nevada, hauling a load of construction equipment. The route wasn't anything special, but it took me through some desolate areas where it's just you, the road, and a whole lot of nothing for hours at a time. It was early December, and the weather had taken a turn for the worse. Freezing temperatures and icy roads made things more complicated, but I'd driven in worse conditions before, so I didn't think much of it. I was somewhere in western Colorado when the snow started coming down heavy. It wasn't a blizzard, at least not yet, but it was enough to slow me down. The truck's radio crackled in and out as I tried to find a weather update, but all I got was static. Eventually I gave up on that and just focused on the road. It was getting late, but I didn't feel like stopping yet. There was a rest area up ahead about 30 miles, and I figured I'd push through to get there. About 15 miles out, things got weird. I was cruising along at a slow but steady pace when I saw something out of the corner of my eye. Just a flash of movement on the side of the road. It was dark, and the snow made it hard to see, but it looked like a person standing out there, just off the shoulder. My first thought was that maybe someone's car had broken down, and they were stranded. But there wasn't any vehicle in sight, and no one in their right mind would be walking out here in this weather. I slowed down, squinting through the windshield, but by the time I got a good look, they were gone. Maybe it was just my imagination, I told myself. Shadows in the snow, nothing more. Still, something about it didn't sit right with me. I kept driving, but couldn't shake the feeling that I wasn't alone out there on the highway. About 10 minutes later, I saw it again. This time, there was no mistaking it. A figure, tall, gaunt, and pale, standing right by the road, not 20 feet from my truck. I hit the brakes, slowing down to a crawl as I passed. Whoever, or whatever, it was just stood there, not moving, not even flinching as I drove by. Its face was hidden in the shadows, but there was something about the way it stood. Rigid, like it was frozen in place. I kept going, telling myself I was just tired and seeing things. Long hours on the road can do that to you sometimes, but I'd be lying if I said my heart wasn't racing at that point. The rest stop was only a few miles ahead, and I figured I'd pull in there, get some coffee, and shake off the weirdness. I was about a mile from the exit when my headlights flickered, just for a second, but enough to make me grip the wheel tighter. I glanced at the dashboard, but everything seemed fine. Then they flickered again, this time longer, like the truck was struggling to keep power. I muttered a curse under my breath, praying I wasn't about to break down in the middle of nowhere. The lights stabilized, but as they did, I saw it again. The figure. Only this time, it wasn't on the side of the road. It was standing in the middle of the highway, directly in front of me. I slammed on the brakes, the truck screeching to a halt as I came within inches of hitting it. My heart was pounding in my chest as I stared through the windshield. The figure was closer now, illuminated by the headlights. It was tall, unnaturally so, and its skin was a sickly gray, like it hadn't seen sunlight in years. Its eyes, or what I thought were eyes, were just dark hollow pits. No expression, no life, just emptiness. I sat there for what felt like an eternity, my hands gripping the wheel so tight my knuckles were white. The figure didn't move. It didn't react at all. I wasn't sure if it was even real or some kind of hallucination brought on by exhaustion and the weather, but then it did something that nearly made my heart stop. It smiled. Not a normal smile, though. This was something else. a slow, deliberate stretch of its mouth, revealing rows of jagged yellow teeth. I felt a chill run down my spine, colder than the winter air outside. My instincts kicked in, and I floored the gas pedal, the truck lurching forward. The figure didn't move as I sped past it. It just stood there, watching me. I didn't stop until I reached the rest area. By the time I pulled into the parking lot, my hands were shaking. I parked the truck, killed the engine, and sat there for a minute, trying to catch my breath. The snow was still falling, but the figure was nowhere to be seen. I got out of the truck needing to stretch my legs and clear my head. The cold air hit me like a slap in the face, but I welcomed it. I walked toward the small convenience store at the rest area. The light from the windows a welcome sight after what I'd just seen. Inside, it was warm, and the guy behind the counter gave me a nod as I walked in. I grabbed a cup of coffee, trying to steady my nerves. As I stood there, sipping the hot liquid, I couldn't help but glance out the window every few seconds, half expecting to see that figure standing in the parking lot. "Long night?" the cashier asked, breaking the silence. "You could say that," I muttered, not really in the mood to talk. He chuckled. "Yeah, this stretch of highway can get pretty creepy at night. A lot of strange stories out there." I raised an eyebrow. "Like what?" He leaned on the counter, lowering his voice like he was about to tell me a secret. "Folks around here say there's something that walks the highway, a ghost or some kind of spirit. They call it the Watcher. Been sightings for years. People say it just stands there, watching the road. Gives drivers the creeps, but it never does anything. Just watches." I felt a cold knot form in my stomach. "Ever hurt anyone?" He shrugged. "Not that I've heard, but still, wouldn't want to run into it, especially on a night like this." I didn't say anything. I just finished my coffee, paid for it, and left. The rest of the drive to Nevada was uneventful, but I couldn't shake the feeling that I wasn't alone out there. Even now, years later, whenever I'm driving through that part of Colorado, I keep an eye on the road just in case, because I know what I saw that night, and I'll never forget the way it smiled at me.
That's for today's video. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like the video, don't forget to like and subscribe our channel. And if you want us to tell your stories to our viewers, feel free to send your stories, incident or experiences to our email. Just try to make the grammar neat and understandable. See you in the next video. Take care. Goodbye.